All right, hi y'all, I'm Emily, I'm a senior, so this is a presentation that's going to cover this year, but also my 4 years at UTSA. I try to sum it up a bit, keep it concise. But my majors have been in history, and then later I added a double major in global affairs, so that's what I'll be graduating with. And ICC, we did a little graduation ceremony during my study abroad in Italy. They wear these laurels instead of graduation caps, and they have this song that I cannot repeat the lyrics because they are not appropriate. But it's to celebrate you by humbling you. There's some cussing saying when you graduate, you're a doctor of a gross body part, that sort of thing. So we got to celebrate with this really fun song. And then those are my friends from Boston who also were graduating. And then my friend Jennifer, who's global affairs major as well. Okay, so this presentation is going to be divided somewhat by the pillars, but also a little bit chronologically as these experiences can naturally overlap. I'm going to talk about my study abroad experience in Urbino, Italy, as Kayla knows. The Archer program I did in Washington, DC. That was last spring, so spring of my junior year. I also did the UTSA Summer Law School Preparation Academy, and this was a good experience. I did it between my sophomore and junior year. And I just want to be honest for anyone who's considering law. I did the first half of the program. It was really good for helping me be confident that I wanted to continue to study law. It gave me a good taste of what law school was actually going to be like, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it if you're looking to pad your resume or impress law schools by saying I did this program, or if you're looking at it for LSAT prep, it's not really what that's for. So I just wanted to be clear about that program, although it was really helpful for making me confident in my choice. And I also worked on the project dedicated to women in war, which is an oral history project. Let's start with that. Basically, my freshman year, I started as this history major, and I took an AIS course that was on oral history, and we interviewed alumni. We created these boards that you can see up here, and they were in the honors college for 3.5 years. This is some project we did for the freshman AIS, and they haunted me throughout those 3 years. We did the S, and as you can see, the design is questionable, and they were in the honors college for that whole time. I see them every time I walked in. But overall, it was a good project because it connected me to the project dedicated to women in war, which was it was under a grant from the National Endowment for Humanities, interviewing female veterans and people who weren't necessarily in combat positions, but they were still involved in the military. They didn't get that formal recognition. And this is with UTSA, but also with Our Lady of the Lake University. And this class was a senior seminar course that I took as a freshman. So that was totally just throwing me in the deep end, but I knew about it because of the previous work I had done. And some people were taking it for internship credit. Some people were taking it for graduate school credit. And I was in there as an 18-year-old. So it really helped me understand how history works professionally, how you have to apply for a grant, and how you have to be really specific in maintaining the things you do collect, keeping it organized, and that it can be a job and not just a class. And so I really enjoyed that project. And this also led to me doing some transcription work with Dr. Will Robertson for his medical anthropology thesis. I learned how to transcribe as part of that oral history project, where I did some interviewing and some transcribing. So I was able to do that work for him as well over the course of maybe a year and a half. That was really awesome. So spring 2022 of my junior year, I did the Archer program in Washington, DC. Grace did this program as well. I really enjoyed it. I got to take these courses on policy, and that taught me really great research skills. That taught me how the government functions at federal level. And I also learned the most from the Archer community. These are students from all across Texas, and I did it as a junior, and there was a lot of seniors in that program. And even though they were only a year older than me, they were searching for jobs, they were working in fields different than me. And I felt like I learned so much about what the next year of my life was going to look like. And that just made me much more confident moving forward. And I got to understand, my roommate was working on health insurance. I felt like I got to learn so much about health insurance. I never would have outside of that. And this is also at the Arlington National Cemetery. These there represent. That was really cool to get to see the changing of the guard. And I did my internship at the American Bar Association for the section of Civil Rights and Social Justice. And this was an awesome internship because they had these 20 different committees for different human rights issues and different civil rights issues. And I got to meet with lawyers where they met about once a month and listen to their meetings and understand what they actually did on day to day and what issues they were tracking. Playing music now. About to get a soundtrack. Okay. But what issues they were concerned with. And one thing that I didn't expect from that internship was that a lot of the civil rights issues they were tracking were not on the federal level, but stuff that was happening in Florida, stuff that was happening in Texas. And that internship made me really realize that as impactful as it can be to work on the federal level, I wanted to work on the local level. I wanted to come back to Texas and do my legal work there. So that was something super important to realize, I think, at that age, instead of trying to move to DC after graduating and then realizing it wasn't fit for me. And my internship was virtual. So this picture of me at the office is the only one that exists. We did do some office meetups. It was a very small group of about 3 people. So I felt like I had the chance to take on a lot of responsibility. And the lady who was directly above me, she actually got jury duty for a month and a half. So that really out there. But I had to definitely step up in a greater capacity at the beginning of the internship. So I think that was a really great opportunity. And as you can see, Angelina Jolie stopped by our work one day. She was there for, it was International Women's Day. So she was talking about women's rights issues. That was just super cool. We got to help run that program. I did a lot of outreach and fundraising efforts, as well as part of that internship, as well as social media, which I hated. That was my least favorite part of the internship. But it's important to learn those things you just like as well. Okay, Arvino, Italy, study abroad program. I did this spring from about January to 2 days ago. I took classes on democracy's in crisis, current issues in global affairs, Renaissance art history, public space and migration, and intermediate Italian, which was a great class. I really enjoyed it. And I also did an independent study with Dr. Stepanova, who was there for the first half of the program. And I was able to do that on sports washing and soft power in Qatar after like the World Cup, how they use the World Cup to cover up their human rights abuses. That was a really cool thing to do, to be able to research sports and get like academic credit for that. Pretty happy with that. And okay, to what we actually did. Oops. Okay, so here's some pictures. The first thing people ask me is, what's the best thing you ate? And the answer is gelato. And I don't have a picture of that, but I do have a picture of coffee. I love the tiny espressos, the macchiatos. American coffee's already been ruined for me. Like the adjustment period has been rough. But that was the highlight, the coffee. But otherwise, I also saw a lot of art and a lot of really different landscapes. I didn't realize that like the physical features were going to be so different just because I never traveled to Europe. So everywhere we went, I was just, everything felt so new and so exciting. And one of my favorite museums we visited was the Borghese Gallery. For our Renaissance art history class, we get to memorize details about 50 different art pieces, like where they're from, who created them, what they're made of, what museum they're in, the time period. This is one of them, The Rape of Persephone by Bernini, marble sculpture from the Baroque era, but it's known for all of its details. It was just so cool. Like it looks like flesh, it doesn't look like marble. And we saw stuff like this every day. Like it was just an incredible opportunity. I got to see the Colosseum, as you can see up on the top. That's like, that structure has just been used for so many different things over time. So to be able to walk around and imagine all those different things was really special. And I got to see the Pantheon, which is making me think of Percy Jackson, I won't lie. The Duomo in Milan and the Royal Palace in Madrid. And I also saw the Trevi Fountain in Rome. And when we were learning about all these different art pieces, there's some big names that come up: Bernini, Raphael, Michelangelo, all of those. This is totally just a one-hit wonder. It was done by this guy named Salvi. And I just thought that was so cool because he just created kind of the best fountain I've ever seen in my life and probably ever will see. And then he did. And here's some more pictures. I got to see the Birth of Venus by Botticelli and Michelangelo's David. Incredible. Yeah, lives up to the hype. I ate a lot of really good pizza. I was able to see the Pope's address in Vatican City on Sunday after the Mass. I wasn't able to go to the Mass because it was really crowded, and I was like, this is gonna be a really significant opportunity for some people. And I didn't want to take a spot because I'm not necessarily super religious, but I was able to go to his address, which is open to everyone. And that was just incredible. There was different groups there with their flags representing their country, singing songs. You could just feel how powerful that was and how much it meant to people. So it was a really cool experience. We have a picture of where we climbed the Duomo in Florence. It was 463 steps. So that's why we all look dead at the top. I think all of my friends' eyes are closed, but I look good at that one. So I gotta put yours. That's the one that got put up there. And it's just an incredible view. We also went to the Uffizi Gallery and we all got assigned a painting to research and present while we were in the museum. I was just hoping the people around us didn't speak English because I was embarrassed to be presenting. But this is my painting. It's by Caravaggio, and it was just really cool to be able to present on it. And I took a picture next to it. I also got to go to the Ferrari Museum in Maranello. That's where they have the Ferrari factory. I'm a big Formula One fan. To see their factory, see the racetrack where they test the cars, and the entire city is like Ferrari. They have driver suits in every restaurant, every receipt any drivers going through with, or like everyone's trying to do their claim to fame. And it was cool to see how an entire town is just arranged around this corporation. Like it's a business and it's a brand, but it's the town's entire identity. So that was just really cool to see. And I also got to go to one of the towns where Luca was based off of. Got some pretty pictures. All right, leadership and professional development. I have clearly professionally developed.
I love our Charlie's Angels picture again.
From freshman year to final year. I already talked about my internship at the American Bar Association and as a transcription assistant. I'm just going to talk about what I did as working at the Printing Museum in Houston, Texas. I got to do an education and interpretation internship in summer 2020. And this one was in person, despite it being like peak COVID. So the museum was closed and we kind of all hid from each other in our little offices. So that taught me how to practice a lot of independent work, a lot of independent research. I really enjoyed this internship. I got to research, like, you know, how you go to museums and they have the panels explaining everything. I got to research and write those. That's kind of always been a life goal of mine, like as a history major and someone who loves museums. So that was super exciting. And it also taught me how to write intentionally for a target audience, because my exhibit was at the end of the museum. It was on modern printing history. I was like, by the time everyone comes through this, they're going to be tired. They're really not going to want to see anything beyond like a fun fact. So it taught me how to be considerate of my audience and intentional with that. And I also got to create educational packets for K-12 students who were going on tours there, and to send to Houston ISD to match their TEKS and educational standards. I don't know what they actually did with that, but they did ask us to send them materials. So I like to think it went somewhere. All right, service has also been a really big part of my 4 years at UTSA. I joined the Voices Service organization when I was a freshman and have continued with it my 4 years. I did the Millennium Fellowship, which I'll talk about, and I also did an alternative spring break in 2020. And this was up until the day COVID hit. We had to leave a day early. And I really enjoyed the spring break. It was at a camp for children and adults with physical and mental disabilities. But the most important thing this camp taught me, I think, was how to stay calm and manage myself and manage others in face of a real problem. We have work problems where we're stressed and we're like, how are we going to get this done on the deadline? But at this camp, they didn't necessarily train a lot of the staff for people with very real needs. And I think having to be honest and be calm in the face of that is a real problem, not a work or psychological problem, was an important experience to have. And it was, yeah, learned a lot. Voices. I started as a member my freshman year, and this was a really great opportunity to meet different people at UTSA and to go all around San Antonio. I'm not from here, I'm from Houston. So whenever we would go to different locations for our service events, it took me to different sides of San Antonio. I would have no reason to visit, or as someone without a car. Like it was a good way to get to know the city. I was a membership chair my sophomore year and then progressed to vice president my junior year. And in senior year, I didn't do anything because I was in, we did some really great projects. We did park cleanups, we did food drives, we had dog toy making. This is at Texas Diaper Bank, where we were sorting clothes for donation. And those two girls would end up being my roommates later. I didn't even know it at the time. That shows the connections you make in Voices. And I really loved our outdoor events the most because it got people out and about and having fun. I also did the United Nations Millennium Fellowship fall of my sophomore year, I believe. And for this project, it's like a cohort of students all across the world where we're promoting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And for mine, I collected shoes to donate for recycling and to be sold as a micro enterprising project. And the most important thing I learned from this is how to take a project from beginning to end and the importance of collaboration while doing that. This project started with me, but I connected it with Voices. I connected it with Rosie's, who is like a sorority service organization group. And Voices and Rosie's continue to work together. It started with this project, but they still do joint service events. So I feel like that impact has been one of the most ongoing and powerful things about that I'm proud of when it comes to the Millennium Fellowship. And I also collected 530 pairs of shoes that were all in my dorm room. Sorry, Vicky, my roommate at the time.
My shoe too.
Yeah,
That's
some of them were
okay.
Vicky shoes. And my room did stink for a little bit, but we were able to donate them.
And you had the overload room then, so it worked
Yes.
out really well.
I had an accessibility room that was on the second floor. Don't know why they designed it that way, but it had lots of space to be accessible, but it was on the second floor, so I got it. But here's some fun times over the semester. And during my study abroad, we tried to try the McDonald's in every country we went to. It's different. And one of the countries, I think Spain, served beer like in their McDonald's menu. I did not try the McBeer because it was the morning, but that was interesting. Had some football games with my top scholar friends. I took a cooking class in Italy. At times it was maybe more of an eating class, a little more demonstration based, but I was not mad at that. I love a good dress up party, a good Halloween event. So I had some costumes as well. But I also really love concerts. That's been a way I've had fun all throughout high school and all throughout my 4 years at UTSA. So I have a picture from a concert we went to the day after my birthday. My favorite band came. It was like my birthday weekend, so it was just super perfect. And some concerts with my hometown friends. And I just wanted to thank everyone who's got me to this point, because without my friends and without my family, these 4 years wouldn't have been what they've been. So representing them all in these fun times, because that's sometimes the most important times. Senior lessons. Just do it. All right, we got Kayla up here as well. I feel like it's easy to get overwhelmed by trying to find the perfect thing to do, especially when you hear all these older top scholars are doing these amazing projects and you're like, how am I going to do something on that level? How do I do what's right for me? It just starts somewhere. Just be working on something. It's just as important to learn your dislike as what you like. If you do an internship and you hate it, it's okay to pivot. It's good to know that you hate it so you don't try to do it as your full-time job and get a full degree in it or something. Like you could still pivot at any point. So I think just starting it and having that leap of faith is the most important lesson I've learned. It's easy just to be paralyzed at the beginning, but you just have to take that step. And this quote is one that stuck with me. All of my problems are amazing problems to have. I think gratitude's important, but it's hard to just, say gratitude. But I think recognizing that you may have a problem, but it's a good problem is, I don't know, that's been really helpful for me. Like I'm stressed about this presentation, that's a problem, but it's an awesome problem. I have a program that's supported me up to this point. And unfortunately that quote is from a tweet. So I cannot find the source. I wish the quote that changed my life wasn't a tweet, but it is. What's next? I'm going to Texas Law School to be class of 2026 next fall, and I'm really excited for it. Thank you.
Well, great job, Emily. It's been fun having you in the program. You've definitely, grown a lot and added your own special touch to the program and to your board. I hope as you go on to whatever is next that you won't forget us and that you'll realize some of the opportunity that you have in this program. I know that there were definite times over the years that you were pushed and probably stretched well outside of your comfort zone. But hopefully you'll look back on that and go, okay, that was a good thing, not a bad thing. And the intention was never
An
just
amazing problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me that before, like all your problems are great ones to have, and I'm like, think about that, Vic.
They're good.
That's
These
a
are good
good
problems.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm choosing between 2 internships. Like,
Whoa.
good on that.
Yeah, so I wish you all the best, and I really do hope you stay in touch. So, things from others.
I'm so glad that we've been roommates since sophomore year, but really honestly best friends since freshman year. I just remember the first day we moved into Alvarez. This was before retreat. And I was like, oh my God, my key doesn't work. I was all over the place. And my mom was like, this girl's so calm. You can learn from that. And I feel like I did. I think that we complement each other really well. And I'm just Emily literally came back from Italy like a couple days ago, and she just came back to campus today. And like when I saw you, like I realized how much I missed you, and I'm just so glad that both of us are going to be in Texas. And we'll definitely visit. You've just been such an amazing friend to me.
Me too. I'm gonna make me email. But I came back, we like yelled so loud. I was like, I'm so sorry to my roommate.
I get annoyed
Really
with
refreshing how kind of even keeled you are, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
And that's
I don't
really
understand
unique
it.
for your age, I have to say. I mean, your peers, no offense, guys.
Unsteady abroad.
Roller coaster, and you were,
She knows.
we always knew, okay, Emily's not gonna freak out. She's just, I mean, she's just not, you know, or you may be freaking out on the inside, but. That,
Thank you, appreciate it.
that's good for going into law, I think.
I want to add one thing. So I always knew of you like at a top scholar setting, we would have meetings together, but I really didn't know you outside of that setting. And seeing the way you are in class, because we have all our classes together, except for Italian, but and just seeing how you are, especially like with traveling together, I don't think like and I touched on it briefly in my presentation, but I don't think I would have like preferred to go with anybody else from the program. Like you really were just like a big inspiration, especially like seeing how motivated you are and how really passionate you are about politics and history. And it was just a wonderful like presence to have you around in our class. And I know I can say this for all the other classmates in Copa, like we basically thought of you as like a little genius for our cohort, or at least like the most composed and the most passionate. And you really just motivated us to keep like working and going through like the lectures with Stepanova and Wilson, and it just was wonderful.
There were a lot of lectures.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
I really appreciate your quote. My husband often puts it another way, and I think for yours better, so I'll try to push it on. He always goes, we have a problem, he's like, yeah, that's a first world problem. That's not.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing, but I think I like yours better. Haven't got to know you very well. I think I came in right before COVID, we were both gone, and then you've been
And I've
gone
stayed
more than
gone.
you've been here. So it's been good to see what all that you've done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I am curious, what type of lawyer do you want to be?
I started out thinking civil rights, but now that I got a little more exposure to what that's like, I think I do want to do corporate law, but I am open to changing my mind. I know plenty of people who go to law school and they're like, I fell in love with tax law. And you don't know that going.
You'll be our fourth top scholar grad to go to UT Law.
A lot of those top scholars are definitely inspirational to me and very helpful in this process. Thank you.
Right, thanks.
Thank you.
Emily.